Hi and welcome. Here on Top 5 of the Week, my one and only job is to entice you to read more global development reports, and that is what I am doing today. So here is being inspired this week. First is a policy brief as any brief can be at 4 pages, that provides insights into the export capacities of least developed countries. Here are a few takeaways. 1. Export potential under the African Continental Free Trade Area is heavily concentrated in 3 major exporters: Egypt, Morocco, and South Africa. The 33 least developed countries in Africa account for only 16% of the export potential. However, these countries have comparably greater export potential in agricultural products. And 3. The policy brief concludes with a demand for aid for trade assistance for least developed countries to solve their present trade issues. Number 2 is the second Continental report on the implementation of Agenda 2063, published in February this year. Agenda 2063 is Africa's development strategy for a 50-year era of equitable and sustainable socio-economic growth. This report covers a 10-year period from 2014 to 2023 and shows how far we've come in implementing this plan. It closes with a list of suggestions for ensuring continued progress towards Agenda 2063, including 1. Enhanced political support and accountability among African nations, 2. Strengthened institutional capabilities, and 3. Increased commitment to the financing of Agenda 2063's program budget. Up next is the West African Development Outlook from ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, titled Economic Recovery in the Midst of Uncertainties. According to the report, the pandemic set the West African region back many years, resulting in wide fiscal deficits across countries, rising debt and debt sustainability concerns, a temporary loss of the fight against poverty, and possible neglect of infrastructure investments in favor of increased social spending. To ensure economic recovery in the region, the report also recommends that the member states should do the following. 1. Invest in food crop production to address the lingering issue of food security. 2. Support SMEs to recover from the pandemic shock. 3. Explore ways of assisting competitive companies in participating fully in the African Continental Free Trade Area initiative. And 4. Build vaccine production capacity. On Climate Change is a research piece from S.3's Kira Tarif that assesses the evidence linking climate change and violent conflicts in West Africa. S.3 is the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. The review reveals the region experienced climate vulnerabilities that included deteriorating livelihoods, increased movement and changes in pastoral nomadism patterns, exploitation by elites, and conflicts by armed groups. It goes on to highlight connections between climate change and the occurrence of violent conflicts in the region, such as failure to secure livelihoods by implementing effective climate actions, moving from areas vulnerable to climate change impacts, increased conflict between farmers and herders, and bad governance systems. It concludes that available research and policy discussions on the links between climate change and violent conflicts in West Africa is inadequate, and more research is needed to have a better understanding and appreciation of the situation. Finally, and from the UNDP, is a brief that acknowledges that the agricultural sector, together with land use change, produce the most global greenhouse emissions. It highlights the challenges between climate change and food security and how they are connected. Climate change affects agriculture, disrupting food systems, hence climate action in the sector should aim to enhance productivity and increase adaptive capacity while reducing emissions. It notes that rural women remain vulnerable to climate change and food security, despite years of efforts to address gender imbalances. Key messages from the brief are: number 1, laws restricting the ownership of land or access to resources by women should be changed. 2. Emerging climate technologies and interventions should cater to women's needs for sustainability. 3. Climate action in the agricultural sector should be gender inclusive. And 4. Sex aggregated data should be gathered to inform gender responsive policies. That's it. I hope I have piqued your interest. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. Bye.